I don't know.
You actually look stressed out. Is Asha okay?
I've seen them when they said that.
I don't know her. Oh, okay. Don't listen to it. I've been trying not to laugh all this time.
What's up? We're here for another episode of NoEmptyCups. Today, we've got some special guests in the studio. Today will be me and Hannah hosting, but we have Mr. Vans.
Come on.
False Forever.
Come on.
From the famous podcast, Off the Cuff. How you guys doing today?
We're good, man.
Drunk, innit?
Yeah, already?
I'm not
already?
Sure about famous,
No.
I'm not sure about famous, but yeah, we're getting there.
You're getting there.
Slowly getting there.
Yeah, because I have to say it is a very informative, interesting podcast. I've listened to a few episodes myself.
Love that.
Personally, I think it should be up there with some of
gas
the other
us up,
podcasts.
man. Come on. Keep the gas coming, man. Keep the gas coming.
But we're going to get onto that today. But first of all, in tradition, we need to have you drinking. Yeah. I know you got a few cups in your hand already, but I know you guys can handle your alcohol anyway. So we've got 4 cups here.
Yeah.
Game's called Take a Shot for Me. So as guests, we're going to do the courteous thing. We're going to let you choose. So there's 2 alcohol, 2 non-alcoholic. You choose which cup you want to drink. No smelling. Listen, just go straight in. Straight in.
Mad. Should I go first?
Oh yeah, of course. I'll go first. Where's the cups? Let me see.
Just say. You tell me which one you want.
I want that one there. That's that one right in that second round point. Right one there. This way? Yeah, right there. God willing, this is water. Oh.
Yeah.
Don't take it yet. Okay.
I'll just grab that one.
Ooh, H2O.
It's probably. I know.
Go on, Hannah. I'll let you choose.
Water as well.
Water as well.
Oh!
I'm not sure if it's
set
everyone
up.
though.
We've been set up.
They could be lying.
Oh, not that bad. That's definitely
It's
Ciroc.
not a shot.
Drink the thing. There you go.
Yes.
My prayers worked.
Cool. So, for those who don't know about Off the Cuff,
Yeah.
give us a explanation. What's it about? How did it start? I'll start with just an explanation of
I feel like I always do this because Mr. Vans lets me be the talkative one.
So,
My name is False Forever. My co-host is Mr. Vans. We are collectively Off the Cuff podcast. We've been going for over 2.5 years.
Yeah, over 2.5 years.
Well over 100 episodes in, so we're not just comes or the other day. We've been here for a long time.
We're not new to this.
Our tagline is a good, honest conversation, never hurt anyone. So we don't shy away from any topics, good, bad, ugly. I think we're extremely honest, extremely raw and unfiltered on our podcast. We give our POV because then we're fans of the culture in regards to music and popular culture and entertainment. We chime in a lot of political conversations. I'm just trying to have a balanced conversation. I think for people that do listen to podcasts, a lot of them are quite long. So we always try to make sure that anyone that listens to us gets that balanced side. So banter is a very important part of the podcast game, but being informative. If I can educate you, but I can also entertain you, then I've achieved my objective.
Edutainment.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good one.
I like that.
So what was the catalyst? What made, for example, the name's Off the Cuff? Where did that come from? And just how did it start? How did you guys come together?
Well, we met at uni.
Yeah.
We met at uni initially.
Battery.
What?
Hey, what one?
That shot.
Mad.
I don't even imagine.
Straight man.
I don't even mad.
But seriously, yeah, we met each other at uni. I think by the time we had finished, we definitely weren't as close as we are now.
Yeah,
I think it's safe to say that. But we were just exchanging opinions and stuff like that on Twitter, and then Foles just hit me up one day and he was like, "Oh, do you want to do a podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it, man." But we didn't know how we were gonna do it. So we were just kind of going back and forth of how we're gonna start this up, and then I went on Facebook of all places one day, and then I saw my boy H. He was promoting a new studio opening. So I was just like, immediately it was like a light bulb thing, and I was like, right, we've got somewhere to do the podcast now. So I hit up Foles and I was like, yeah, let's do it. But for some reason we didn't do it straight away.
It was my fault, basically.
You know, like
Because?
one of them things, like, nah, it's just having an idea, but like actually doing it. Sometimes like you have to overcome like your own barriers, whatever they may be. And then we finally got there, and then like we haven't looked back since.
Cool. So what made you want to start a podcast in the first place?
Well, I've got my reference point. So Eddie Nesta, for me, is a big influence. I call him the Podfather. Combat Jack was a big influence, and Jenny Francis, Lady of Soul. Like, I like good conversations. I like anything that makes me feel like I'm in the room. I may want to argue with you. So those are the people that I listened to growing up. And of course, you can't ignore someone like a Charlemagne the God over the last like 7-8 years with the Breakfast Club. Andrew Schultz, Brilliant Idiots. But those are my reference points initially. We both studied a journalism degree at uni, and the bits that I enjoyed the most, aside from writing, were the bits in the going out and interviewing people, having conversations, and that was why I wanted to start one. And I think because my passion has always been radio, communications, with anything, they want to see you do something first on your own. And I was like, you know what, let me just go out and do a pod, because you're going to do your 9 to 5, you're working. Don't get twisted, the pod ain't paying, I've got a job in it. I'll be working.
Real talk.
So I was like, let me go do something for myself, because I'm watching all these things and I'm like, bro, now you man are chatting shit. Yeah. And I've got my influence, and I want to put my perspective out there, just from a fan point of view, because I'm a fan at the end of the day of everything. And that was why I started one, and I even hit him, and even him saying that it took us a little while. It was my fault. It probably took us probably anywhere between 4 to 6 weeks to actually go and start. And we did a stupid thing. We didn't do a pilot. We just went into the episode and put it straight out. Yeah. Man had 17 listens. 17. Yeah.
It's funny, like, if you go back and listen to our first episode, there was a lot of and ahhing, and there was a lot of like, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't pick it up from the first episode.
I'm happy
so when I picked it up from it sounded like you guys are very media trained.
We aren't, you know. We're really not. Like, I say for me, I don't know, but you, Mr. Vans, you've been doing some training on the side. I just think we've got our chemistry and our cohesive, and like, this is my friend at the end of the day, innit? Like, good, bad, now, this is my brethren, innit? That's the one thing, outside of any success we have from this, like, I'm just happy that we've got closer as friends from doing a podcast. He looks out for me, I look out for him. I think that's why it probably comes across that the energy bounced off well, and it's been good. And like, when we first started, I was fortunate I had some good critique. And you know, Brendan just gash up, yeah, brother, your bars are sick. Your bars are shit, bro. But my friends told me like, nah, bro, like, you man just sound like you're agreeing with each other all the time. But my response was, I'm not going to fall like my friends just for a pod. Yeah. But as we grew and we started exploring different conversations, naturally you're going to have different opinions. Yeah. So from there, it bled into the pod, and as you become comfortable, we started being more honest. So we were talking more honestly, more openly on the podcast. And I think it was quite early in the UK. I know there are quite a few people that probably started a little bit before us, some people after us, but at the time we started, I didn't feel like there was a lot of that out there. So just honesty kind of helped us, and then just communicating better, because you know you got your friends, but you don't really see man often. Yeah. At the bare minimum, I see this nigga every week at least once, and then we speak loads. The other day I was on the phone for like an hour and a half, proper cute shit. Yeah. Good hour and a half. What are you saying? You're good, yeah?
You saying, what is it, potential best man?
Nigga, he's got to fight my brother. I might not have one. I might have all of your best men, because it's going to be easier for me that way. But that's my guy, though, man. I'm proper proud. That's my guy.
You guys were on the Apple Music kind of.
We were. I still don't know to this day who's behind that. Whoever you are out there, please let's connect. We were on the Apple podcast. We was on. We were featured on the Perspective and interviews. Yeah. So thank you to whoever did that. That was big. That made my day when I saw that. I don't know who's behind that, but
to be honest, it was mad. Sorry to cut you. I was seeing another podcast bigging themselves up. Oh yeah, we made it onto the Apple thing, and you was like, I clicked onto the picture. I was like, I swear that's us, man. I was like, and then I hit up Foles and I was like, bruv, do you know that we're on the Apple thing? And he was like, I swear.
So you're saying there's another off the cuff?
Nah. So what they did is that they had a list of other podcasts under the whole Black experience thing. Yeah. But how they had it, they had like a list So when someone tweeted that their podcast was on it, I saw us amongst that list.
Okay.
And I was like, right, like no one told us about this.
Yeah,
no one
yeah.
You know what I mean? It could have just been an off chance that I went on a podcast app that day and then I saw it, but
if you didn't,
but someone DM'd me and said like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you man are on this thing," like, you know what I mean, big them up, which was weird, but love to the man.
So what was the response from that generally? Did you see kind of more interaction via Twitter?
A little bit
Facebook,
more. It was
kind of
definitely a positive. So more people are probably aware of us and they checked us out, and then naturally your players go up and stuff. I think you can't get too like focused on numbers, but just in terms of the conversation, people using your hashtag, interacting more, because there's two big platforms of podcasts for me anyway: SoundCloud and obviously Apple Podcasts. Apple got the rating system. If you get in the top 100, of course SoundCloud, they're a bit better because they give you data, so you can see who's listening to you, where they listen from in regards to the country, what platform they listened on,
how many
and
times
also
have they liked
how many times
have
and then
they
what
been
city as well.
reposted?
So if, and then if you want to, you maybe could gear your conversation more towards the bigger demographic. But we've been quite fortunate; it's quite varied. So you might have someone in Canada and someone in Japan, but the internet's small. Like
Yeah. As long as one person hears it, they share it, then that's another listen that you've got.
Yeah.
And it was around the time where we were prepping our 100th episode, which it went well because it went hand in hand. So it was like, right, on this week we were featured on the Apple Podcast app, and we've just dropped our 100th episode, which was sponsored by Ray Nephew. Which
dope.
Yeah,
So
man.
that was a mad one then.
It was a mad one.
Okay. So you mentioned the Mandem podcast, Scribs, from them and there, etc.
Yeah.
How have these relationships been built? Where did it start from?
I think it's just online. Fortunately enough, a lot of us work out the same space, just being really frank. So you're going to bump into man, innit?
Yeah.
They're coming out of their session, you're coming into theirs, coming in for yours, sorry. Online, and I think if people are frank and honest, a lot of us are fans, but I think there's that London attitude a lot of the time, man are like, I ain't really trying to chat about their thing. But I'm a fan at the end of the day, first and foremost. So if I rate your thing and I've been listening, I'll use your hashtag. And because the same way I want someone to talk about mine online, I'll do the same thing. And I think from there we've built a natural relationship. So those guys, it was cool. We've got some guys we mess with from North London called the Mandem Podcast.
Yeah.
LB, Mike P, Mr. Richie, they're all good brothers we actually interact with. And it wasn't a forced relationship. We just built a decent relationship and everyone's hit each other up. And like, I think a lot of times when people look at guys from London, they think everyone's got egos and stuff. There's a lot of us who haven't. We're just like, I want to connect, we want to build, and we share information. So it was good. With DMD, it was good because everyone seems cool and we've got a decent camaraderie with us. We've got loads of other posts. People have hit me up for stuff before. Like, I don't feel like we're at a crazy high level where we're not accessible. Like, there's pods that have done way more than we have, and we look at them and like, you know what, let's get on our A game. People that I want to start stuff and they've been in my, I won't throw them on the bus, but they've hit me up and I've given them information because I feel like when I needed help and I didn't feel like help was out there, or I was confident enough to ask for help, if someone asks something and I feel like I generally have the right answer from my limited experience, I'll give it to them.
Help as in, are you saying what?
Do you know the studio? What should I do in regards to recording? Like what should I talk about? Your persona. Come on hours if you want to get comfortable. So we've got a friend, I hope she doesn't mind, Shakira, who's part of Beats, Rhymes and Life's podcast. She come on our podcast, she was on DMD, and I was always onto her, because I'm not the only person, but I was always onto her, do a podcast. I just thought that how she interacted online, I was like, there has to be a space for this.
Yeah.
You can't just be sending out tweets for free, bruv. Like, there's a space for this. You're a hip-hop head, innit? Go and do a podcast. And eventually, after like me getting onto her, and I'm sure other people got onto her as well, she went and started one. And there, you're gonna, hopefully, God willing, 2018, you'll see them as the premier, like, #1 spot for music podcasts. That's where I see them. So if anyone's listening, Beats, Rhymes and Life podcast.
Facts.
Those are my guys, and I hope they do good stuff in 2018.
Cool. I mean, it's a funny one because at the beginning of the conversation, you guys said that you literally just jumped into it.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, I actually hear when I listen to other podcasters being interviewed, they're saying that kind of, I went on to this person's show and that person's show. I mean,
I'm not using man for clout.
That's what I'm gonna kind of like. What's your perspective on kind of those kind of things? Because for me, it's like you guys have had the heart or the guts to go out there and literally just start it just like that.
Man was
and
giving
you found your feet. But
Savage Dad was giving them free money because what it was it's fun at the end of the day, and if anything's your hobby, you'll find a way of paying for it, innit? Studio time isn't cheap. Some people, if you've got a cheap studio time, shout, man, innit?
Yeah.
Because I want cheap studio time, innit? But we were just happy to go and do it. It's doing the work. I think with anything, seeing music especially, you got to be independent. You get to a certain stage. My guy needs to hustle. Now, he signed his label to, signed his music group to a label. Like, you do all that independent work and you go somewhere after that. You've got to go and do the work first for anybody to recognise you. So now we are getting a decent amount of recognition, but when we was going every fucking Tuesday, every Wednesday, 7 till 9, 9 till 11, sometimes man are finishing 12, can't get home, man have to take Uber. So you now spending 20, 30 extra pounds you weren't meant to spend. That was the work. You just had to do it. So
on a consistent basis as well. Like it's just, you know what I mean? Thank God like that we have the kind of resilience that we do and the determination to kind of like reach the end goal. Yeah. Because there's been some times like a lot of stuff have happened like between when we started till now, that like there'll be times where I couldn't make it, you know what I mean, and we made it work. I couldn't make it. Foles would be like, can you call in at least, and then we'll do an episode where I'll be over the phone. We just wanted to put stuff out. There was a time where like we couldn't even get a slot down at our regular studio, which is here. We found another studio
and you just got it done.
We just got it done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like, there's my advice to like people that want to do a podcast. If you want to remain consistent, like don't come with no excuse, fam. Like,
listeners don't care. Thursday's your day you drop. They want to look on the podcast app and know. They get the notification you dropped on a Thursday. Yeah. They don't give a shit that you're fucking left in your house.
They having life problems.
They don't care, bro.
Listen, someone tweeted us the other day, like I think because we drop on a Thursday, we usually drop in the mornings, bruv. Like that day we dropped like at 10 o'clock at night or something like that. She was killing us.
Well, what happens in them situations? I want to know. Come on.
I'll be honest. It was H's fault. H.
No, but not even that. In terms of like your natural reaction as somebody who's in the media, you've got to be seen to the public as kind of not even being a nice guy, but you've got to have that balance.
Honestly, I saw the tweet. I was looking at my phone. I was like, "Who the fuck is this?"
but she's a big sport. She was at the live show in August.
Yeah.
I think honest.
It's only right. It's honest.
So you keep
know what I mean? Like even with us here, like when we know that we've messed up in it already. So when someone else has clocked it, it's like, oh shit. Let's just make sure.
Because
what
it is, at the end of she just used to us having a regular post, isn't it? So you don't take anything.
You fucked up her morning, bro.
No,
she was on the tube. She's probably on the tube.
I was refreshing the app, thinking that the app was broken. Where's off the cuff?
And you don't want to sever that relationship because people are used to, and then that could now make her be like, "Oh, this man ain't serious."
Nah.
But we'd recorded 2 days prior. We just didn't get the audio in time and the right edit. So I'm happy that she got to listen to it in the end.
We're serious, bro.
You tried to listen like 8 in the morning. You got at 10 at night. Not a big deal, really.
But to be honest,
still
like,
came on a Thursday.
That's her day, you know. Your podcast could have been so significant to her that it makes her day so much more positive, and she didn't have that podcast then. But you know, it's even good that you've got that support system.
I feel it. You might not making it worse, but I feel you. I feel you.
Listen, we redeemed ourselves. You know what I mean.
Alright, welcome back. We're going to get into another game. So the game we're going to get into, don't know if you've seen NoEmptyCups before or you know about it, but Who Am I is the name. So we've got 2 celebrities. We're going to describe them in 5 sentences, maybe less. We're going to let you guess. You got a little time to get the name. If you don't get the name, aim of the game is going to drink. Yeah. Right? So you won the first round. You going to come back? Yeah? They're drinking?
What are you saying? Cool. Whitewash.
Come on, 2-0.
Come on,
man. 2-0, man.
Alright, cool. I'm gonna go first. Alright, so this guy, first clue, male.
Shit clue. What kind of shit clue is that?
The first clue.
Male, is
male.
that?
Yeah.
Right.
Got 5. Go.
It's from the Midlands.
Yeah.
Started off with a number 10 hit. He signed a few artists as well after having a successful career.
And it's from the Midlands.
Professor Green's one of them.
Okay.
Example's another. Had a very torrid life in terms of drugs, gambling.
Mike Skinner. Come on, drink your fucking drink.
Come on.
My guy.
Can I say something? Why did you say who he signed? That was.
Janae's low key. He wants to drink anyway.
Where's my shot?
Yeah, man, drink a drink, man. Come on, man.
It's not a shot. What do you mean?
What is it then?
Pour some into Hannah's cup, man. She's got bare apple juice and ice.
Are you nominating? Are you nominating?
Yeah, Hannah, give it to her. Thank you.
I wasn't even his friend.
Mad.
That's so mad.
Right.
It went topsy-turvy for you.
What kind of top up did you not give him?
Oh, I say my friend. Thank you.
There we go. Take that back. There you go, man. Good for the
Well
skin.
done.
Next one.
You're lucky you got him in your corner, you know. I know you. I
would've
know
said it.
you.
I would've said it.
You plucked.
No, he knew.
I would have said it.
You said Millers, he thought Bugsy Malone. He said Bugsy.
When you said he signed a couple artists, the white guys, I was like,
Yeah. You said White Donny, I knew.
yeah.
Mike Skinner.
Okay. I'm a lighty.
Oh, fuck off. Fuck right off.
I'm from North London.
Okay.
That's
2 out of 5.
Well, it doesn't have to be 5. It's 2 5. And I have had a number 10 hit. Sorry, in America. And that's my only clues.
That's your only clues. Give me the fucking drink. I've had enough.
Can't do that.
Wait. You're Lighty from North London.
I can give you a bonus clue, but the bonus clue is slow bait.
Lighty,
What's the
North London.
bonus
Wait,
thing?
hold on.
What's the bonus thing?
Lighty, North London. You've had a top 10 hit
In the States.
in the States.
Yeah.
Whew.
Even internationally, to be fair.
Steph London.
No.
She's not from
That's your guess, man.
Give me
That's
the drink, man.
Wait,
I don't
wait,
mind.
Wait. They're still gonna drink.
Just
I've got a
give me
bonus-
the
I've got a
drink.
What's the
bonus
bonus
for you.
thing?
I mean, you told us a story about her
Yeah.
on a bus earlier today.
Rita Hora. Whore.
She's not from North London.
She's not from North, bruv.
Not like either.
She's not lying. She's
Drink,
fucking Albanian.
Drink.
Give her the drink. Hannah.
Drink.
Give her
She's
the
from
drink.
West London.
She's from West London.
She's from
not a
Lambertville.
lighty.
She's from West London.
She's fucking
She's not a
Albanian.
lighty. She's white.
Hannah, do you know what it is? I'll drink for you.
We're gonna do another one.
These are best man.
Wait, but Steph London's not from West. It's not from North
I was just guessing. I heard lie. I was guessing.
Wait. Nah, he's
cheated.
a travesty still.
Okay, so I can start again.
Lighty.
Can you see this?
I
believe it.
I like that one.
No empty
I like
cups.
that one.
And she ain't got a cup.
Hey, she finessed you, you know.
Yeah, that was a mad
She
finesse.
finessed you.
Fucking
You don't
cheating.
see-
Alright, cool.
for
I'm gonna do another one for you.
Mm.
Okay, so I grew up in East London.
Yeah.
At early age, I was grabbed into the grime scene.
Mhm.
Trying to think of another.
Man ain't trying to give shit
Yeah,
clues.
I ain't trying to give you those shit clues. I've had several top 10 hits.
Mhm.
Tinch Strider.
Are you black and Ghanaian?
Drink.
Tinch Strider. I knew
Drink.
it. Early age.
Early
Come
age.
on, my guy,
East
man.
London.
Why did you do this?
Come on.
You lot keep drinking, man.
I fell into that as well.
Nah, I'm still not over that.
Off the cuff ain't taking no losses.
Still not over the
No, Hannah was cheating. No, I drank for her, but she's cheating. She said North
Oh,
London.
North London.
North and
Wow.
West London. Not even North West London. You're taking a piss.
It's the light bit that
Lighty.
She's Albanian. She's from the Eastern Bloc. Soviet Union.
Decorators.
She doing that. Let's get back into some questions with you, man. Let's find out a bit more about Off the Cuff.
Yeah.
So, you've had a lot of high-profile guests on your show.
Okay. Yeah.
I'd say Kenny Allstar,
Mhm.
RS,
Mhm.
another one. The other day, I had Mr. Coyote.
The same person.
Samson.
Are you drunk, cuz?
Samson.
Hey, no empty cups. Certain man are drunk and that. Messing up and that.
Samson. Yeah, dude.
I know, no, you're right. Samson KO. So I think you're talking about. We had Samson KO and Tommy Expensive. He goes by Tom Mucci, but if you know him from the internet, Instagram, Twitter, Tommy Expensive.
Yeah.
They had the Family episode.
So,
pilot.
how do you go about getting these high-profile guests? I mean, What's the formula?
Some
What's
of them
the formula?
are people I genuinely know. I don't want to pretend like, oh my god, like when I got some of them are genuinely people we know.
There ain't no formula.
Yeah, there ain't no formula. Some people just we know. Some people just reach out to.
Kode by example.
Yeah.
RS. I got his email from a friend that worked with him in a short film. She didn't give him the heads up or anything like that. She was just like, oh yeah, he's a cool guy, here's his email. I hit him up, he responded within like half an hour and he was like, yeah, I'm on it, let's do it. I was like, cool. And this was like around the time when Hood documentary came out, which was like the big thing for him and stuff. So he was just like, yeah, cool, I'll come. Him and
Terrell Santana.
yes, they came down and yeah, we just did it, man. It was literally easy. It was like texting your brethren.
How did you feel going into an interview? Is it a daunting feeling having such a high profile guest? And you know,
Do I look scared?
Yeah.
Not at all, man. We were just being ourselves, and I think with that episode, it just everything was just organic. Like it just seemed cool. Everything went seamlessly well. Even when we had Da Vinci, yeah, that went well as well.
I was nervous going to that though.
Yeah,
just
it
because
took a while though.
Like for me, Da Vinci is one of our best grime producers. Because the way I look at grime is, I know there was talk when we mentioned it with Da Vinci as well. With someone like a Labyrinth talking about grime. I hope I'm quoting him correctly. As almost like an uneducated genre, because man just hit the Fruity Loops and that. I think it created a beat, but some people come from an instrumentation background where they do play cello, piano, they play loads of different instruments and create beautiful sounding music, innit? And someone like Da Vinci was a pioneer because he had different sounding beats. So you remember early Tinchy Strider?
Yeah.
I don't want to leave you.
Yeah.
I don't want to go. That song, I know my voice sounds shit, but that song, he was instrumental in that. Like he's had different rhythms that kind of step out of the box a bit more, which open up, because like I think like grime, he opened it up a little bit more. And going into it, I was like, I want to make sure I do a good job. I don't miss the Vans. For me, I felt like I didn't do the best just because I wasn't on the money enough. But because I was thinking too deeply into it, if I was more relaxed, I'd probably had a better interview. I'd love to have him on again at some point. That's the only one I was nervous about.
Da Vinci
It
was
was
one of
hard
the
as
first.
it is, man, getting him on. Although you had like the relationship there,
Yeah.
it was difficult trying to get him like to actually
Open up a bit more.
Yeah, because you know when you holler at someone, they're on it, but they can't give you a solid date. And like when they do come on, there's that element of like awkwardness a little bit. But we can have him on again, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I reckon now he'd probably more because I know he watches and listens to podcasts, and I just think with those things, if you haven't got a rapport with someone first, and you come on and just sit down and put the mics on,
It's quite
man,
hard.
they're gonna be a bit guarded and stuff.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think
yeah.
some people have had probably bad experience with the media and stuff. And they were just fans, so we just want to kind of find out where the hell have you been, like what's been going on, like because I've heard some Da Vinci songs like from an old album with some of the best Wretch 3-2 verses you will ever hear, and they're never coming out, unreleased albums. I'm like, bro, you're the coldest. Come back, innit? I think because we're in that nostalgic era with grime, especially the people who were the legends back then. If they come back and show Raw Man's nang, people will be receptive to it. So I hope he comes back and does something crazy.
We've had
Well, he did have an album as well come out.
He did have Powers. He had a lot of Bassman, Getz. It was all recorded that Relentless Studio.
Scorcher, yeah.
Mergston. So it was a good take.
But yeah, speaking of guests, like we've had Mo the Comedian as well, twice,
Okay.
which was great. The first time wasn't there, but the second time was good as well. So we've got a good relationship with him. So that wasn't that difficult getting him down.
And we haven't really struggled on that part. We've been fortunate. A lot of people we do know, like through someone that has like they've got a good rep with someone. So there are people's and their name holds weight, and they're like, listen, these are my guys. Go. I'm not gonna lie to the people that listen to our podcast. It's not always been difficult. The few people that might have been difficult, the ones we haven't had on yet.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna say, but there's an interesting conversation we're gonna have soon with some prostitutes. We're gonna have it soon.
Raw. Let's talk more about that. So,
I want to talk
prostitutes.
to a working woman. I want to sit down, and if anyone still asks, you know where they got it from.
Yeah.
False forever. They got it from me.
Okay.
I want to sit down with some working
That's
women
new.
and have like, I'm sure it's not new, but like I want to have that conversation because I think there's a lot of stigma I look at it as the world's oldest profession. But no matter on what level you look at it, everyone pays for sex.
Yeah.
On a certain level. That's how I look at things. That's my perspective. I want to sit down and speak to the working woman and see from her end what it's like, innit? Abuse, violence, morality. How did your family feel? What led you to that part? Drugs, money. Is it profitable? Are there a couple millionaires out there popping that pussy? Because some girls manage to get some money.
But when you're talking prostitutes, are we talking like people that's been trafficked? Are you talking escorts?
Hey,
There's different levels, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying.
those
And I
are
think
fair.
that's a different perspective.
I'm trying to talk to the El
get.
Chapo of prostitutes. The
Okay,
top dog.
so mistress.
Yeah.
Mistress.
The Griselda Bangkok prostitutes. I'm trying to talk to the top Donny.
That's interesting. Isn't it? So when will that episode be coming out?
Hopefully 2018.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe beforehand. So we've got one or two links. I know a couple working women, ladies of the night.
I'm not gonna say
on a corner and that. Couple.
And also, all banter aside, I want to have the conversation in regards to legalization, because I know, of course, everyone's been to Amsterdam. It's part of the culture. You're just there, like the girls in the window. They show you the titty quickly.
I feel like taking a tangent right now, but let's
Take a tangent.
Let's stay on track. Let's stay on track.
You think it looks weird?
I thought it was fucking strange.
But I think at the end of the day,
They're
is
like,
I don't like the fact
I
that
ain't been down,
we
so-
like these seedy things, but they're underground.
They're
This
not
is the
underground,
reality.
it's the street. You
Do
just
you know how much
expect
brothels
them
there?
in
There's so many
the
brothels in London. The man them go to in Croydon specifically.
Man.
There's bare brothels, isn't it? In the ends.
Are you dressed
Putting at the
snitching?
There's no
Man.
snitching.
Man, I'm specifying, you know.
Man, I'm dressed
Listen,
snitching,
some of these
bruv.
prostitutes,
Hey,
yeah.
bruv,
Some of these prostitutes are saving relationships because certain man ain't gonna cheat with a new thing. Then he's gonna go and pay. It's cheating, but it's like he's gonna he needs to let that out of his system and come home,
No.
see Stacey and be happy. Listen, babe, I love ya. It's great. He needs to
been
go
banging.
home and be
Listen,
cool.
in no way do NoEmptyCups know of any brothels in Croydon.
Them quick disclaimers, you know. No, but listen, like, there's a couple around the corner still.
Say none.
They're in the vicinity, man.
Cool. So you have the high profile guests. I think in terms, as I said earlier on, I personally think your podcast should be probably spoken more about. With
Is that
regards
our
to
fault then?
I don't think it's your fault, because I think you do a great job of what you're doing.
Listen, we're trying, man.
Yeah, you can only put the podcast out and then just let the listeners decide what's going to happen. But me personally, in terms of listening, I think it's a very good chemistry that you both have. I think, in a way, you do good cop, bad cop. False Forever's the bad cop.
You reckon?
I'm a nice guy. Sure. I'm a nice guy. Come on, guys.
It depends, you know. Like, I think because we do this thing weekly.
Yeah.
It depends on like what mood he's in, what mood I'm in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There might be a week where like I'm just fuck everyone kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like not every day humble.
Yeah.
Sometimes like suck
Pull
your
the
mum.
burner out.
I think it's more because like Foles,
Some
for me,
weeks
I
suck
think
some
you're the more vocal person
Yeah.
in terms of the opinions. When like a conversation is sparked or started, you're the person that's gonna say sometimes the most not the most outlandish, but the outlandish thing within the conversation.
I
That's
feel
gonna
like
get
I say
everybody
what
gripped,
people are thinking.
kind of thing.
Let's address the elephant in the room, innit? If you
Yeah.
had a big incident, you was on a stage show, like I know it's proper random, like what's the Donny? Lancey Fox, like almost like the UK Young Thug.
Yeah.
And he had that song
About it.
it.
Yeah.
Selling Sonia off Malika. If I sat him down in the room, the first thing I say to him is, fam, why would you throw in water and how do you feel when a Donny snuffed you in the face? And get it out of the way. I just want to have the conversation.
Yeah.
And are you biting off Young Thug? What's going on? Anything that's the big, just because I feel like I owe the listener. I owe the listener that, because I'm not here for no disrespect, you guys and your entourage and your people.
Yeah.
I owe the listener what they want to hear. I want to ask you, and I feel like there's difference between disrespect, but just being honest. And then you, at the end of the day, you answer how
It's
you want to
happened
answer it.
though. Like if you're gonna speak on something that we've seen out there online, it's not disrespectful at all.
Yeah.
What, because you got snuffed is disrespectful? I didn't snuff you.
You're just addressing the situation.
Like,
that is at
I'm
hand.
not the person that
Everybody
sparked you, fam.
everybody
Don't
wants to
think-
know what
don't think
happened.
it's calm,
I
like,
hear that.
bruv, you're dashing water in front of like 50 people, bruv. Someone's gonna snuff you.
Yeah.
Because if I'm in a crowd and you're dashing water at me, bruv, it's on.
I was
I'm
at
lifting
SNE
you up.
show.
Yeah.
We was at SNE show ages ago. Club Nomad. I spoke about it on our podcast. Club Nomad. SNE performed with all of his guys. J Flows. All the guys that are behind like the brand One Figures. Shouts out to them. And there's a guy called J Flows. They were doing a performance. He threw water, but it was my brethren's event, so I'm heated. Donnie, don't throw water on me. I want to scuff. But it's my friend's event, innit? So I
What
can't
happened?
scuff.
What happened? Oh god!
I had to take the shower. I had to take it.
Yeah, I had to have a shower.
As well, especially in London. Like,
Listen, if there's gaps in the audience,
it's not been a
I was at
problem.
SBTV Summer Cookout. He did the same thing at SBTV Summer Cookout. And he's like, it's just water, guys.
Yeah, like-
his presentation is very like he's peaceful, innit? And he did a song and he showed it, and he's like. Artists do that. I grew up on 50 Cent. He does that. They throw water. It's just part of like getting crazy. Like it's not a big deal.
There's no gaps in the audience.
But if man are wearing fucking Gucci and just Cavalli and that,
That's
you
why.
can't throw
I think,
water on my
think
shirt.
London's a different environment.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
maybe in the US, I think maybe the hip hop scene.
No, but over here.
I don't know.
To
But
To be honest, like you know what? Yeah, the big,
over
like
there.
I believe the bigger that you are, you can do them kind of things
Yeah,
because like there's
Yeah,
so
you
many people in the
you
crowd.
can get away with more when
Yeah.
you're big.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like.
So about to go into our next game. It's called Mafia. So we've got a name and a cup. We've all got to pick out. One person's going to be Mafia. We've all got a guess, so it's one man for themselves.
Yeah.
And the person who loses takes a shot, basically. Yeah? Cool.
Ready?
Been ready, B.
Come on.
I just drink. Hey, Hannah, I drink. Hannah, drink. Hannah, just drink. Hannah, just drink.
I'm so sorry.
Hannah, for you, just drink.
Thank you. 'Cause I'm not stupid.
Just drink, man. Game finished, man.
Another one.
You mashed up the game, cuz.
Where's the third one?
They're trying to cheat us. Hurry up, cuz.
Go for, like,
No, my one's not in there. Who scratches like a shit fiver? What the fuck is this? Fam, what is this?
you guys ready?
Yeah, man. 3, 2, 1, man. Open your thing, man.
You need to be hidden.
Oh my god.
Let's go. Alright, cool.
I'll be honest with you. Dardy's definitely Mafia. Mr. Vans, it's you.
I believe that as well.
For sure.
Definitely.
Well, it's not
me.
you.
You man are moving shifty though.
Well, why is it not you?
If it's not Mr. Vans, it's
Why you
definitely
stuttering,
Hannah.
fam? It's
Me?
you, fam. It's you. You're stuttering.
You're hearing things. You're hearing
Nah, I'm
things.
definitely not hearing
100%
things.
you're hearing
You're
things.
stuttering.
Huh?
Everyone can vouch for me. You're stuttering.
For sure.
Don't slip up, bruv.
Come on, Mr.
Come on.
Vans.
Why are you moving shy though?
I'm cool.
I think it's you personally.
True
What
say
was you
Hannah's
last
been
time?
moving shy all episode.
Still think it's you.
Nah, it's definitely not me.
I'll be really frank. It's definitely Hannah. And why I think that? Because she's just lying. It's definitely Hannah.
Wow.
It's definitely her.
Because you know me. I'm a liar. Okay. It's not me.
I think you two are working together, to be
Do you know
honest.
what I mean? I really think that's why I think it's
He
him.
accused me the first time
I
round.
accuse him.
He's quite sloppy
To
sometimes.
be honest,
no,
like,
but
it's
no, but to
always
be
the
honest,
most talkative one.
no,
innit?
that
Like,
was
might be.
it was deflection. It's definitely not me.
Definitely not you.
Do you know what I
definitely
mean?
not me.
I can't-
That's
Definitely not me,
a
boy.
bit shifty still.
No.
You lot are moving kind of mad still. I can see your
So who
eyebrow
are we guessing as who
twitching.
it is?
I'm saying Daddy.
Nah.
I'm going with you as well.
It can't be. I'm already drinking anyway. It can't even be me.
You know, if we all choose you still have to drink as well.
How?
That's the game.
But if it ain't me, it ain't me.
But we all chose you.
Nah.
Did we, did, I just
That means
did
you're
we
wrong
all
then.
choose him.
All right. what? So wait, just to let you lot all know, yeah. If you lot choose me and you're wrong, that means
We
you
don't
don't have to drink.
You have to drink 17 shots.
No. What?
No. We ain't that girl that's.
17,
We ain't that girl that's.
There's no coming back after 17.
Listen to me, yeah. If you lot, no, hold on. If you lot are wrong, it's only right that you fucking take the
It's
shot.
our game. Look how.
Nah,
Wait, so
nah.
wait, no, wait.
Okay.
So they
Stuttering,
anyway.
it's you. Stuttering, it's you. It's you. It's
Show me
you.
your
No,
team.
it's
Show me your
actually
team.
okay.
Show me your team. Let's cheat.
No, whoa.
Part of the game.
If you show him your drink.
No
You
colluding.
lot are
That's why I know
stuttering.
you're shifty. I
It's
said
one of you
you're
lot.
shifty from early.
All right, cool. We've got to choose quickly. Who do you
I'm saying
think?
Mr. Vance.
Not Vance.
I'm
I'll
saying
be
Mr.
really honest
Vance.
with you. It's Hannah.
So you're
It's
choosing
definitely
Hannah.
Hannah. It's definitely Hannah.
There's a tie.
It's a
Alright,
tie.
cool.
He's got a coin.
Quick flip a coin. We've got to pick between the two, man. Cool. So between
Reveal, please.
What you pick? What you picking?
Let's reveal.
Why me
It's
first?
2 against 2 because you lot already said.
If you're confident, just reveal
You're
it.
moving mad. It's
I was-
you.
Wait,
It's Hannah. It's you moving
what
mad.
are you picking?
Huh?
Heads or tails? What are you picking?
Heads.
Is it just this guy? What did it do?
It's tails.
It's tails, yeah.
That means you should-
Camera.
Reveal,
No, you
man.
pick heads, so you use tails.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so reveal.
Reveal
So
B.
it means I have to reveal, right?
Yeah, you have to reveal. Come and reveal, man.
So I'm saying, Mr. Banter has to reveal.
I have to reveal, yeah.
Not me.
Wait. Cool. If you're Mafia fan, I'm gonna.
That means it's you man that's drinking either way.
You man, him.
Yeah, because you joined together.
Nah,
so.
bruh.
Are you Mafia?
Is he? Is it nothing? Who, me? Nah, bruv, it's
knew
you,
it,
cuz.
man.
I said it
knew
from
it
the
was him.
start.
I knew it was so. I knew it was to support my guy.
Either way, man. Everyone drink, man.
What?
No. Cool. So it's the Christmas period, New Year's coming up. I know you guys are into music as well.
Yeah.
That's obviously what we're here about as well. So we want to find out what you think your best albums of this year in the UK are. Obviously, we want you to talk about one that you feel obviously was the best this year. Again, and we'll all speak about one.
Yeah.
Or put our, through. So I'm gonna start with you.
Stormzy best album, just because it's sequenced top to bottom, tells a story. I get to understand Stormzy's perspective. I feel like you can play the album from top to bottom and not skip anything. And I feel like even though he's been put in that grime bracket, he gave you a few different sounds within his album. And you can't lose if you've got a gospel element. You've got your mum on there. You're kind of like performing on steroids if your mumsy's on there, because you can't hate mumsy in it. But I feel like Stormzy.
No, you can.
No,
But
you can't hate mumsy because man
he's
will
done it
headbutt
right.
you.
He just done it right.
You cannot hate my mumsy. Man will headbutt you, innit?
Yeah, but you ain't gonna find everybody.
Yeah. If you got time, you will. But I think Stormzy's got the best album, and as cliche as it is, I think there's nothing wrong with giving a guy his rose when he can smell it. Stormzy is the guy, and he's getting his just dues, and I think you should give it to him because it's just a sick album, regardless of like whatever genre of music you like.
Yeah.
I think it's a cold album, top to bottom, closely followed by J House.
Yeah.
But I think the difference is that with J House, I think it's a collection of songs and just bangers.
It's more cohesive.
I don't feel like listening to J House and feel like I know J House through the album. That's why I pick Stormzy's. The way I look at albums, I like a story, beginning, middle, and end. I like to know who you are, where you're coming from, what's your journey. I feel listen to that. J House does some witty things, some bangers. He jumps on probably more diverse beats than Stormzy probably did. But I just feel like Stormzy's, from a cohesive point of view, is a better album. So for me, that's album of the year from a UK perspective. Honourable mentions: Chronixx, amazing album. SZA, Control, amazing album. Those three are the ones I bang consistently on my playlist, whatever. So
Yeah,
Mr. Vance?
I've got to echo what Foles just said to a certain extent in regards to Stormzy. I bought the project twice.
Seriously?
Wow.
Yeah, I
Or
bought
streaming actual hard copy?
I bought the digital copy and the hard copy. The hard copy, I bought it because like I wanted him to get to number one. Cool. I think that was the campaign at a certain point during the entire process was like getting Stormzy to number one. So I was like, let me get a CD. I haven't opened it yet, like since the whole release. So
You're
I
trying to
thought
sell that one like another 20, 30 years, isn't it?
probably not unless he signs it. I don't even know where it is, to be honest. But I just bought it anyway. It was, I think he reduced the price. He got it down to a $5 for everyone. What's a $5 nowadays?
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Hey,
You know what I mean. What's a $5 nowadays? Like, you know what I mean?
Money,
You can
man.
barely get a meal.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
In McDonald's, it's the same kind of price, whatever. So I was like, yeah, let's get it. I felt like, yeah, like Fo said, from top to bottom, first things first, I think he addressed a lot. And then from then all the way up to the end, I think, like, you know what I mean, he just hit the nail on the head, like with a lot of the issues that a black boy or man of his age would be going through. So I thought this was excellent. There were several different genres within the album, which I thought was great. So for me personally, that was the album of the year because I thoroughly enjoyed it. It wasn't one of those albums that you listen to for a week or 2 weeks and then you forget about it. It's like it's continuously, like I still listen to it till this day. I was listening to I know it's cliche, but it's Blinded by Your Grace. Like, I know that's the single that he's pushing at the moment, but that song right there, part 2 especially, like, you can listen to that like at any moment. It could be like it's within 5 years to come, you can still listen to it and still feel the same exact energy that you did when you heard it for the first time. So that right there is like the pinnacle in terms of like album of the year for this year in the UK. Obviously you can mention the J Husses, but you know, I felt like with J Husses you were getting pretty much like the same kind of energy throughout. Stuff from across the board. Jay-Z 444, I felt that had a big impact. Yeah, definitely. It had a big impact.
For what you talk about, yeah.
Even like, I mean, SZA, it was great. I had, you know, personal favorites like Ross's album and Meek's album. They were like personal favorites of mine.
I wasn't too a fan of his album, Meek's album.
Meek's?
Yeah, nah. I think just a few tracks off the album.
Nah, for me personally, I felt like it was probably his best album.
Really?
You think?
His best album, yeah.
It's interesting. I think he had a good few tracks off of it. That touched on like
if
current
you go
issues.
back, like he had big singles and on you know, some of his previous.
I mean,
albums.
me personally, I don't think he's actually top Dream Chasers.
Whoa.
I didn't really rate that album.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't think he's touched number 1 Dream Chasers.
Nah, I didn't really rate that album.
Then?
Huh?
Who's number 1 the Dream Chasers for you then?
No, he's
No,
the mixtape.
Oh, he's not top Dream
Chasers.
What? No. His mixtapes is different to like an actual album. So his first album, it was cool. He had like his introduction singles, like whatever, I'm a Boss, and so on and so forth. But like as a project, I felt like Wins and Losses was like he's definitely his best.
I think people feel it just because he came back from a loss.
Yeah.
Nah.
I think what it is if you look, that's why I look at Meek is that arguably the last 2 big like albums, EP, whatever music cycles, he can say that for the most part he beat Drake, because Drake's last album was a playlist. The album was a playlist. He's more for Europe, for UK. Skepta has a whole song in there by himself. He let gigs be gigs throughout. Meek's last album is essentially better than Drake's last album from top to bottom. You got Fall Through, you got Open with Verse, like you got songs on there. You got Young Black America.
We Ball with Young Thug,
to
like
the culture.
That's what I'm saying. He touched on
Heavy
issues
Heart,
that were
like, you know what I mean. Like it's a proper album. If you go back and listen to it, like you understand what I'm saying a little bit more. But yes, as far as those albums go, like those were very good albums for me this year.
Cool. Me personally, I would go different to where you lot are going. So for me personally, I personally think Chip's album was a lot better than Stormzy's album.
You reckon?
Personally, this is my personal opinion. Like, I listened to actual Chip's album a lot more than this to Stormzy's album, and this is me simply because I think Stormzy's album was more calculated than what Chip's album was. Even though it led,
can I be using
really?
Yeah, but
more calculated.
But music is meant to be more natural.
Yeah, but an album's meant to be very. You thought about it. The intro, do you know what I mean?
I think it's the balance. That's
how an album's meant to be.
I think the
League of My Own 2 intro is cold.
He didn't even know where it was going. It's just.
You think so?
Personally, because with me as well, like with you, I know you listen to it differently. There's them 3.
Nah, League of My Own 2. The intro was fucking fire.
Yeah, I think personally the art form on it was done perfect. The actual features were thought about a bit more. I think Stormzy's one. I'm not even gonna say.
Are you saying that because Chip's a better lyricist? Because he is a better lyricist.
He's a better lyricist, but I think me personally, I think the whole the Stormzy wave that everybody's on is because of who he is as a person, rather than more of what his music is. Personally, I think if you look at music just for the raw form of it, Chip goes in there and he delivers his heart. He puts his heart on a sleeve and he delivers what. Whereas
What, and you-
I think
Stormzy
he
goes
was
in,
trying to-
Stormzy goes
so
in,
what-
and he's kind of doing what people
So what,
not expect of him,
Because-
but he's just doing what is needed to
So-
become that person at the time.
So you felt that League of My Own 2 was more thought out than Gang
I
Sign
no.
Friends?
I didn't say more thought out. I think it's more better. And when I say better, I mean more in the art form of natural music just coming out. And that's what I personally feel music is supposed to be about.
To like, I think Stormzy, for me personally, he embodied the essence of like a lot of the stuff that we grew up on. Like, he had Jenny Francis on his album. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't get more nostalgic than that. You know what I mean? On it wasn't even a grime song. Like, he had Crazy Titch for nostalgic.
Fair enough. Yeah, but that's because he's the man of the time.
It's not even.
I think it's more people.
He's probably even younger.
I just think it's more the community getting behind who they think they need to get
To
behind.
be honest with you, like Stormzy's like what, 23?
23, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like around the time that he made the album, he was probably like 21, 22. Because you know, album making is a process. He was probably like too young to even know about.
You think so?
Jenny Francis.
Fraser T produced the album though.
Yes, but bruv,
So,
Crazy
like-
Titch, bruv.
I wouldn't say Stormzy was too young to like understand.
He wasn't.
He wasn't.
22, 21 to know who, like, to really be in the time of Crazy Titch and Jenny Francis.
Yeah.
Bro, you were young.
No, we weren't, because I'm 23 as well. We
Nah.
weren't. Jenny Francis and Crazy Tits, that was still my era. Very much so. I was very into that. That was very much what I was listening to.
This is gas.
I'm 23. I'm the same age as Stormzy. Like, proper. So, I know that
I'm,
myself.
bruv, I'm turning
'Cause
30.
If not,
No.
I won't know
Alright,
who they are.
I'm
then.
turning
I won't
30,
care who they
yeah.
are,
I'm turning 30, yeah.
personally.
When I was listening to, like, Titch, when I was listening to Jenny Francis,
How old are you?
I was, like, 15.
17.
Like,
Yeah, this was when younger.
15 in school, like, cassettes. I was taping sets. So, like,
it still grew.
what
Like, when I was
you're how many years younger?
7.
Come on, man.
That's not. It's not.
You were listening to Smack Hits and that.
Yeah.
You know, we're listening to now
Ministry of Sound.
now
Yeah,
24
like,
and them things
No.
there. Like,
I'm not gonna
Never heard
like.
that 24.
I'm
Yeah,
saying
but
I ain't been a fan of
you
Jenny
know.
Francis like that.
Unless you
I
had-
wasn't a
yeah,
slow Jenny
unless
Francis.
you had
Boys
big
FM?
brothers,
Yeah, I
unless
did.
you had big brothers,
I did
big
have older
cousins
brothers.
and that,
Yeah, my brothers.
cool in
Yeah,
it.
I
But
had
like,
older brothers.
other than that,
Yes.
you man were listening to like
But maybe he
Westlife,
has,
Spice
he
Girls,
doesn't
and
have
them
older
things
stuff.
there.
But
Like,
still, it doesn't mean I have older siblings, so I know that's why I was listening to that type of stuff.
No,
That's the reason
that's
why I was
true.
brought in.
I can get that because I was
You
listening to
never
Jungle
know
when I was
Stormzy.
that's what I'm
7.
saying. Like,
So-
you have
never
your
know.
reference points, innit? Because I was listening to D Double like when he was doing Jungle,
Doing drum and bass
That's
and
what-
etc.
that-
Yeah.
That was because of my older sister.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, what I'm saying is that when them were at their pinnacle, like Crazy Titch went in jail like what?
Was it 2000?
Don't ask me,
2009? Yeah.
I ain't been jail.
2008. And that was when I was-
Jesus
Facts,
Christ.
we say Wikipedia that.
Jesus Christ, like, so what,
2008, and
10,
that means
11
we were
years
in-
ago, fam.
We're in year 8.
People were like,
in
what,
second school.
13?
Yeah, we're still
We
listening to
weren't
that
re-
shit.
Yeah,
We
but
were.
even, like before he went to jail, like
I
that
think
man was very-
that's more
Yeah.
subjective. I mean,
You
personally,
were.
me, apart from the Chip album, for me, Sampha. I think that's has to be, and I think personally, I find that it's kind of just looked over simply because he's a British singer.
No, he won Mercury.
I know he
Prize.
won Mercury, but a lot of our
Everyone was
demographic wouldn't say Sampha.
Yeah, but it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's definitely bigger than that because like I think a lot of people thought the Skeptors and this, that, and the other would win it. A lot of the men that were nominated. Yeah, Jay Huss.
Me
was
personally, I thought
nominated.
Jay Huss was gonna win it.
He wasn't gonna win it, bro.
But that's probably because Skepta won it the previous year.
Yeah,
but
It's not always gonna be that way.
yeah, sometimes you have to think in
it's about
trends.
but it's about the music. It's about the impact.
Yeah, the Mercury Prize. Yeah,
You know
I
what
would say that
Sampha,
the Brit
like,
Awards
they
probably
really,
more
like,
trendy.
The
yeah.
criteria is a lot different with the Mercury. It's not a Mobo thing. You know what I mean? Like it's they
Or
look
Brit
into
thing,
this
or
properly.
Brit thing.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
look into
yeah.
this properly. Like, it's not a joke thing.
So what are you saying?
You know, he just got really heated.
Got you heated,
Really
Let's
heated.
go.
You say that?
Man's attacking your age.
I don't know.
and that.
Listen to Jenny Francis and that.
Let's go.
Heated.
Let's go.
But I don't have one. UK personally, I don't have one. I can appreciate all of them. Like that's why with what you said about Chip, I understand that. But I feel like because Chip's been just here and there doing America, he didn't know what he was doing in life. Like he was
You
just
can't
changing.
say that.
That was time ago. That was time ago.
Let me finish my point.
I'll let you finish.
So, because he's been doing here and there, he's trying to get back into what he wants to do. Obviously, he had that thing with Bugsy. He was really getting back into grime. With this album that's come after, I feel like it was still trying to appease to what's popping right now. You want to do a song with 6-7. You want to do all this type of stuff. He still had his good tracks. I did like it. Wait, let me finish, because you lot. Listen.
Go on. I'll let you have a couple more sentences. But I'm gonna say something about the last point. Go on.
So I appreciate. I really feel like well done. Like, do you know what I mean? What you come from, I understand that. Cool. Stormzy, very well rounded. Good album. That's what I call a good album. I haven't listened to it since then. I listened to it quite a few times then. Yeah. But I felt like when I finished to it, I thought this is a good album. Like, I really enjoyed listening to it from top to end. This is what you call an album. Yeah. Do you understand? Again with Chipmunk, like I said, it's just like, that's why I wouldn't say Chipmunk as a top for this year. Jay Huff
but
now.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. The point that you made about in terms of feature, that's what every artist will do. Yeah, but every artist will grab who is popping and put them on their album.
It just felt like you don't need to do that, because the songs you made by yourself or the songs that you did with people that you
so was you expecting
naturally were better. You didn't need to do them things because they were popping.
Who would you rather see him work with then? That's a question.
The people that he usually works with.
Who do you usually work with?
That's the thing. He works with everyone.
He does work with everyone.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but you know,
and I think the 6-7 feature was probably more because he hasn't been in the game for time.
Sometimes he
hasn't worked with him.
You see with Chip. Yeah, sometimes.
It's strange, but I like the song though. That's the thing. It's not like
it's a good song. It's not even a bad song. It's not even a bad collaboration.
What Chip was doing, he's going back to basics. When he done the album with like the Chris Brown, the Kerry Hilsons, like the Trey
that was
songs,
forced. That
was the label. The album title of that project was called Transition. This is what he was trying to do. This is what the label was trying to make him do. Like,
actually, talking from your perspective, not fact though.
No, it's not fact. But like, if the label are putting out money towards like these features, I think around the time like
he's on record. He's on record as saying that he went and saw some features by himself.
Yeah. But
so then that invalidates your point though.
No, but like the label would still have to believe in that. You know what I mean?
Why would they not believe in that? There are people from America.
You get Chris Brown, Kerry Hilson, you're gonna believe in it.
Yeah, but at the time, labels didn't really have the money to really go out there. Like I had people.
That's what you think, though.
No, but I had people within that, you know, that whole process, charging man like 90 bags for a feature, like that's not small change, fam.
To the label though, it's not that deep.
No, but like to the label, like this is when like the label stopped really putting in like real money into their artist projects. Yeah. Like in terms of features,
yeah. In terms of Chipmunk.
No, just in general. Okay. Like in terms of like when it comes to paying for features, you know what I mean? Because they'll put their money towards everything else.
But they probably done that. They probably done it on the basis of the fact that his last album was a sign.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you, if you had a mistletoe, who in the UK industry would you hold that over?
Mad.
My fucking girlfriend. Just putting it out there.
All right.
Oh, she's a singer.
Yeah. No, she ain't a fucking singer.
She's a rapper.
I'll make her sing.
Jesus Christ. Jesus.
Miss Banks, you know, it's good melanin, good chocolate.
Man.
Who else is out there?
A little quick, Maya Jammer and that.
No man, but obviously you got respect Stormzy, but listen, if you
not everyday respect.
Bruv, what is this about? Like, you don't give me how many is something you have to respect him because you want to.
No, because that's his missus and
bruv, this is missus. She's pretty. She's pretty.
We don't know Donny. We don't know Donny.
All right.
Thank you.
We don't know Donny.
Cheers, man.
We don't know Donny.
Lips is missus this.
Alright, man, about her neck.
Bruv, stick your tongue down her throat, cuz.
Jesus Christ.
Because there's certain Donnies like in the ends here that you'll like nod to, but you know you've been knee deep in their missus' pumps. I'm just saying.
Miss Banks, my jammer.
I'm a Stefflon Don kind of Donny, you know.
Like a little fluffy thing in there.
Tits looking hitch up.
Crazy.
Mad. To be honest, yeah, like I wasn't really a Stefflon Don fan, but I started following her recently on Snapchat.
So now you like her.
You start to appreciate him more. Little areola and that for the culture.
Fucking shoulders and ting. I'm on it.
She's so, yeah, my jammer.
You do my jammer? Mr. My jammer?
What's up?
I like that IMDb girl as well.
Listen, I was at the Bryson Tiller concert.
She was there.
She was out early before SZA, and even from I was at way back, I could see the hips from there. I was
her
like,
hips are something. Tiny waist, big hips.
Is this
Even a fucking
UK artist?
what's
Yeah,
the thing that was on Drake's thing?
or Georgia Smith.
Yeah. Georgia Smith as well.
Yeah.
But aren't we off lighties now though?
but she's
Sometimes
not
you got to bring the
like
nourishment
that.
back.
I don't
Sometimes,
think that.
sometimes the nourishment needs to come back.
No, but she's beautiful. Like, naturally, like, beautiful. So,
Sometimes you want the nourishment.
Yeah.
Come on.
Man ain't really trying to drink
what's
vanilla
your
milkshake,
just
fam.
laughing?
But I'm not gonna lie, but when the cameraman just caught my eye, raw, like
even mad.
lighties, like yeah.
No, Mistletoe, definitely my jam and Miss Banks. And
Oh
obviously-
yeah, Miss
I'll say
Banks.
that. What's that? That Mabel, that one that done the song with the culture.
Nah, dead.
Who?
Oh, you ain't feeling Mabel?
Bum chin and that. Like, dead.
Wild, cuz.
Just looking mad stiff.
I was wrong in the man then.
Either her or Nadia Rose.
You man are even mad.
But see, Nadia's like,
Nadi
Nadi looks like,
so I don't know. Like,
Mabel.
you know what I've seen. If you don't
You
see
look
another
alright.
picture, I just seen the Spotify picture. That's all I'm
Nah.
saying. That's
When
all
it's
I'm
even
saying.
Nadia,
The Spotify
Bruv,
picture
like,
looks alright still.
listen,
I'm not gonna lie.
I'm judging her off like her performances. Yeah.
In the video.
She just looks like one of them things that like when it's ready to ride, like she's just not on it. She don't know what to do. She's asking for questions. Fucking,
you want me
who
to
wants
hold
be
the
a
burner?
millionaire
What
and
is
that,
the
like,
burner?
fucking
It's
Chris
just a
Tarrant.
kiss, you know. It's just a kiss and it's a mistletoe, you know.
Looking for Chris Tarrant in
It
that.
doesn't
like,
have to be a lip sync thing, you know.
just looking back.
Go just a little peck on the cheek
Just
and that.
looking for fucking Anne Robinson. What's her show called?
Bro, hey, Mr. Vance
Weakest
feeling
link.
personal about that, you know.
Weakest link. That's
And
the
Nadia
one.
Rose is a cutie, but Nadia's like, Nadia definitely would like roll up the weed for you, bag up some grub and that. Like, you kiss Nadia
Plug
on the
in.
cheek.
For me, it's between them two.
Who? Mabel and
Nadia Rose.
Mabel
and Nadia Rose.
Nadia Rose. I'm a
Step-
different guy, bro.
Step your game up. Step your different guy game up.
Different guy.
Step your different guy game up.
But what are you going for, though?
Huh?
What are you going for?
Listen,
Why? You
I've
said
my
you said
selection.
Stefan Dub, but I'm not gonna even. I'm not gonna say nothing about your bro.
No, but you said you
That's
like
not
the
me.
Steph London thing.
Huh?
You said you like that.
She's alright, but that's not what I go for anyway. Personally.
You're killing me.
Personally.
Oi,
What's in the
yesterday.
future for off the
What's in the
cuff?
future for?
2018 live show
Come
for
on.
sure. Just more growth, more development. Gonna see us out and about a lot more, and hopefully just keep building and just grow a bigger platform and have a
Yeah.
bigger voice out there, and hopefully everyone's more part of the conversation and just see us doing a lot more. Live
Yeah.
show is the most important thing.
Roughly when we talking. Let's have like a.
You lot are actually crazy, fam.
Off the cup. No empty cups.
Off the
cups,
cup,
no
no
empty
empty
cups.
cups. You finished, yeah?
That's finished.
Foles is finished, you know.
What's wrong with the man then?
Why did you turn it off when he was going to go on the rant?